And here we are, the Wild Wild West show,
Doggy.
always
Had to do that.
punctually late.
I know, man. Tonight it's my fault. We're an hour behind. I did a little traveling. I had appointments to do today, so here we are.
It's all that matters. We're here.
Here we are, man. I can't stop doing this.
Yeah,
It's weird.
yeah.
Yeah, man.
Dude,
It's
we
one of those
have
days
like
want to be on phone.
we have so much to talk about, and I can't wait. Yeah. So we had to miss last week's thing, but we're here, and I have all these amazing stories from last week and a few from this week. Hopefully, we'll get to. If not, we'll save them for next week. But I'm gonna go right for the jugular.
Oh,
Right,
bring
right
it.
for it. Last week was the big Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony.
Oh, that's right. Okay. I think I know who was inducted, and I don't watch stuff, so I could do it here and get it from you and just talk about
So I'm gonna run down a list of the big names
it. All right.
and get your opinion. Pat Benatar and Neil Giraldo.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm cool with that. That's a 10 because it's Pat Benatar, and
Hmm.
she is one of the greatest, if not the greatest, rock and roll female vocalist. I mean, there's her, Ann Wilson, and all that, but Pat Benatar, operatic scale, beautiful melodic voice, easy to look at. Her husband's a brilliant guitar player. They write well together. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Why not? Pat Benatar, yes.
Absolutely,
2 thumbs up on that.
absolutely. She was such an iconic staple of that late '70s, early '80s explosion into MTV. Before even MTV, and then that just really put her over.
Yeah, it was like when you first heard Heartbreaker on the radio, you were like, what the hell is that, man? And it was just
Yeah.
this really powerful voice,
Hmm.
aggressive, melodic, uh, just really strong, great presence, man. And live, she's amazing live. She's one of those singers that's just amazing live.
Yeah.
She translates live really well, and she's funny. When she has shows, her banter. And I don't know if you've seen them in latter years, but I saw them maybe like 4 or 5 years ago,
Okay.
and it was like it was very intimate. It was at BB King's in Manhattan,
Okay.
and I was up front, so you felt like you were in their living room. They were just like they were bantering back and forth, and I think one of their kids was in the band, so it was a lot of comedy. It was cool.
That's funny. Okay, so let's throw this one out there. Carly Simon.
Yeah, of course, man. You're so vain. She should be in the Hall of Fame just because uh, James Taylor's in it, so James is in it. Carly should be in it since they're used to you know, tie the knot, break the knot, argue, get drunk together, do drugs together. It's Carly Simon, man. That's one of the icons of rock and roll. One of those big voices, man.
Yeah.
She once again she was. You hear a lot of things about her. Rumor has it I don't, but I never met her. But I hear that she can be. She was very hard to deal with back in the day. She
Mm.
can be a very one of the. I heard she was a little bit of a snooty,
Oh.
but it's Carly Simon, man. So it's like when people say shit about Barbra Streisand, it's Barbra Streisand.
Yeah, yeah.
But
I, I
yeah,
I
beautiful
think Barbara
voice.
Streisand's a couple notches up than
Oh
Carly
yeah.
Simon, though.
But it's just the mellifluousness of her voice, the hits. She deserves it, of course, man. She's
Yeah.
been around. It's funny because you would think she would have been in it already. It's weird how they do that,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
Very weird. Very
Like
weird.
some people they take years and they don't get in, and some do. Okay, next.
Duran Duran.
Okay, '80s band. You
I'm
know,
I'm I'm a little surprised at this. Go ahead.
um, well, I'm a Duran Duran fan.
I
Even though
am too.
I, I used to cover
Mm.
"Hungry Like the Wolf" from one of my kiddie bands back in the day. It's pretty funny.
Wow.
Because
Wow.
you have to go "Hungry Like the Wolf." Pretty silly. It makes sense. They are a rock and roll band. They are just a rock and roll band out of the '80s genre. It's still rock and roll.
Hmm.
What makes someone? It's almost like everybody gets in just at different times. It's so random.
Yeah.
If you're gonna have Duran Duran, you might as well throw what's that other the fucking weird band? Keep feeling fascination.
Oh,
If you're gonna, you know, if Duran Duran's gonna go in, then English Beat's gonna go in. Are Tears for Fears in
the
the Hall of Fame?
Human League.
Yeah. And the fantasies were turned until the walls came down. Come on, man. If you're gonna
Tears for
start doing
Fears. I don't think so.
that, well, but then Tears for Fears deserves to be in it because they had the hits in the '80s, just like Duran Duran. So it's gonna be like, now it's Duran Duran. Who else can we pick in a year that's just random and whatever?
Mm.
Are they a classic rock band? We're talking about the essence. It's the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, not
Right.
the new wave band, not the new romantics Hall of Fame. It's almost, it doesn't really, it's homogenized as fuck. You know what I
It
mean?
really is. It really
I'm a
is.
Duran Duran fan. I like them. I guess if they're going to let, Run DMC in, they should let Duran Duran in.
Yeah.
Right?
It's funny because I remember like when Duran Duran came out and they were breaking huge in like probably 84, 85. My cousin was this huge Duran Duran fan. And I was like, at that point, it was like Def Leppard and Quiet Riot, and I didn't want nothing else. And then we used to fight and argue like cats and dogs about the whole musical war. And then like 2 3 years later, like I started to like really like get into Duran Duran. I was like, I'm embarrassed to admit this to her that I love Duran Duran now. Like
Hey, man.
I was like secretly buying like CDs and stuff. But I got it. Like it took me a few years, but I was like, they are freaking awesome. And
It's
John Taylor is my favorite bass player. One of my favorite bass players.
really.
Yeah.
And he, the thing about them, they were like they were the pretty band. I
Yeah.
believe they were put together because they were one of those bands. Well, we want to put together a band like this because it's MTV. So that was MTV's big boy band but with instruments.
Yeah.
Duran Duran was a boy band with instruments. That's how you look at it. Like, that's how
Exactly.
But they had that. But let's just go the hits. It's funny that the first video was that "Hungry Like Wolf" was the first video, right?
Yeah.
So it's funny how that song is written really weird. Like, it's a weird song. Even the lyrics, the chorus, it's really weird. And then they get into this like smoother songs, "Bad Boys." Things get even more melodic.
Right.
And then they have a comeback record, if you want to call it that.
Yes.
But "Till the Morning After," it's brilliant. His vocals are recorded well. It's brilliant production. They look cool. They sound cool. They date models. They marry models.
Right.
Come on, man.
Have you ever heard John Taylor did a band? It might have been mid to late 90s, which is it drives me nuts. They only did one album. It's one of my all-time favorite albums and bands. They were called the Neurotic Outsiders. It was John Taylor from Duran Duran, Steve Jones from the Sex Pistols, Duff McKagan, and Matt Sorum.
Duff McKagan's they're like everybody's band. They're everybody's band. Seems like.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. I never heard of that. I'll look it
up.
Dude,
it's like picture perfect 3-chord punk rock and roll. But
we should pull it up.
It's like, oh, dude, I can do that.
Can we do that? I'm just curious. But they got so many songs, man. And everything is Bad Boys. That's my terrible Duran Duran vocal there. Sorry about that.
How about when they came back and did they had a comeback later, like years later.
Yeah, wasn't it with that song "The Morning After" or something like that? Or am I losing my mind?
I was thinking of
and it's they were just divorcing
Ordinary World.
In an ordinary world. Da, 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 da. Oh man, that vocal is beautiful at the end.
Amazing.
Oh my god, that's a well-written piece of music. Everybody in that band and around that band, great writing, great production. It's Duran Duran. They owned their genre in the 80s. What they did. Pretty guys playing instruments, they owned it. Better than Kaza Goo Goo.
but
which was cool too.
Too shy.
Too shy. That was cool, man. Think about that. The bass line. Here we go. You gonna play it?
All right. Yeah, I'm gonna play it.
And
my
really at sax stuff. Here's to this.
When you live with moderate
to
severe
live,
Crohn's
right?
disease or ulcerative,
so we have to Well, we'll all watch a commercial together because that's
In
what it's all
nature,
about.
there are
Ads.
many
bizarre
different
twist on the
female
notion of
Black Widow,
What,
having
are you,
often
what
met
is
the
that
close
thing?
intercourse, meal of her mate, and her aggression.
Yeah, man.
I love this album.
Let's see who's posing the most in the video.
I don't mind.
Okay.
I don't really mind. Take your time. Take your precious time. You're so blind. You're so really blind. But never you mind. Cause I just came to grind. You're a bitch. I'm a jerk.
It's like STP meets Duran Duran.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see. Okay. Pretty girl, pretty girl.
All right, that was we gotta start this off now.
I do not know that song. That's crazy.
How do I
should
stop
let
it?
everybody know that I don't know everything. So
All right, there we go.
that's great, man.
And dude, it's great because like every song is just like 3 chords, and then the verse they mute the chords, and then they power it up on the chorus. It's the same thing every song. It's great.
The formula. You know what's missing though? The guy from Kajagoogoo.
They're not shy enough.
That's going to be my fake news. Kajagoogoo.
See now I'm gonna surprise you one week. I'm gonna find a picture of that dude, what he looks like now, and see if you know
Okay.
who he is.
Remember they were on there was a show on VH1 for a while where they were doing like reuniting bands,
Oh yeah.
and that was one of the bands that they did, and they played really well, and you could tell they really wanted to. Well, the singer at least seemed like he really wanted to get back out there.
Sure. Okay, so Duran Duran, the Eurythmics.
Annie Lennox, of course. Sure, man. But once again, I don't know the timing. How did they decide the timing of that? I mean, is it because nowadays, the past decade, they're letting in everybody? Like, when did they start letting in
That's
not
something
rock and roll into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Annie Lennox is a cool rock singer, but we're talking about new wave now. Now we're getting into we're talking about new wave genre being honored in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It's not the new wave Hall of Fame. It's not the MTV Hall of Fame. This should
Right.
be the MTV Hall of Fame. That's what should happen. Okay, bands that were big in the MTVing of music. That's who should be. It should be like, here's the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but here's the genre, the MTV bands of.
Yeah, they should have like like I've never been to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but they should have like a corridor. Like, all right, this is the hip hop section. This is the MTV section.
Yeah, because to call it the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, it's all just it's not right. That's just my opinion. It's like the watering down of everything. It's just the watering down of it. Watering down the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The watering down of the word rock star.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I'll get on the rant about that. But okay, Eurythmics. Annie Lennox, man. What's
Yeah.
the name of the other guy that's with her?
Dave Roberts? Or Dave Stewart.
Dave Stewart. There you go. It's funny how like that band falls in the same thing as like Roxette.
Yeah.
It's like the same. It's like the blonde girl front,
Mm-hmm.
the guy that writes on the side, on that day.
But the worst part is I think Roxette had more hits than the Eurythmics.
Yeah, and they were like huge in Europe first, and then they MTV'd them up with that song. You Got the Look? Is that it?
Yes.
No, is that it? Okay.
Yeah.
So, see, man, I used to watch MTV religiously too, but only because I wanted to be on the damn thing so bad. Okay, but that's Annie Lennox, sure, man.
Yeah.
She's rock and roll because she is a great rock blues singer. She's a great balladeer. She's just cool, man. She's soulful.
Yeah.
She's like that dude from the red-haired guy. Oh shoot! Give me the new. What they weren't new wave. They had a big hit. The singer had that really crazy kind of curly red hair. Oh man, I hate this whole like early onset shit. Simply Red.
Oh God, yeah, I was not a fan.
Great
Not
singer
a,
though. Great
not
singer.
a fan. He was.
But they
He
had that
was.
one song that was it. It was, you know.
Right.
But Annie Lennox, I'm a fan of Annie Lennox. I'm not a fan so much of the Rhythmics music. All right, I like that one song. You know, I like the song that
Sweet
they
Dreams.
made. Yeah, Sweet Dreams. Then it got remade.
Marilyn Manson.
There you go. Thank you for finishing that because I'm going to
No
start
problem.
and then you finish.
There you go. That's why
It's the
we're.
formula.
That's why we're a good team.
Tonight I'm going to eat pizza ring. Okay, not a pizza.
That's exactly what I was eating.
Your Rhythmics, Annie. Okay, sure, I'll take it. In the Hall of Fame for MTV bands.
Okay. Now, how about this one? Lionel Richie.
See, no, man. Lionel Richie has written more hits than God, so it makes sense that he's honored. You know, did they honor the Commodores too?
No,
Did they go in? So
he.
the
They might.
Commodores.
Commodores might have already gone in.
I got
We'd
a
have to
feeling they
look
were
that up.
because
Yeah.
just because they wrote Brick House,
Yeah.
I would let them in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because they wrote
Absolutely.
Brick House. Thank you, done.
That's it. Game over.
It's a category. It's a call I don't understand because it's not rock and roll. We have to change. If it's the Hall of Fame, I'm going to shut up about this in a minute. If it's the Hall of Fame, it's the Hall of Fame of music. So okay, if you wrote a million
Exactly.
hits and you're in there, sure.
Now during his induction performance, you know, each artist plays 3 songs. During one of the songs, I forget what song it was, he was joined on stage by Dave Grohl.
Of course he was. Of course he was. Dave Grohl plays with everybody, man. I mean,
Right.
You think it was like to make it more rock and roll? Let's ask Dave Grohl if he'll play with me.
Dave Grohl's like the ambassador to all music now.
Yeah, man. He's like, you know how there's Budweiser and there's Coke.
Yes.
You know, it's just you think of rock and roll now, you think of Dave Grohl because they're the biggest band in the world. I mean, the Foo Fighters can do no wrong. It's the Foo Fighters. So, see what I mean? The Foo Fighters should already be in the Hall of Fame because they're the Foo Fighters. They are. They are, right? It shouldn't wait. I know he's already with Nirvana. He'll have to go and begin it again with the Foo Fighters.
Yeah. Dolly Parton.
Yes, just because of her boobs.
Winning.
No, it's Dolly Parton. You know, I'm being very matter of fact here. I shouldn't be like that. I adore Dolly Parton. I grew up on Hee Haw. I watched that shit when I was a kid. So if you don't like Dolly Parton, you're not a good citizen.
She is truly, when you say icon, Dolly Parton.
She's beautiful. What a voice. The voice we were just talking about that today. Me and Sue. You can pick her voice out of anything. It's original. It's like it's got this beautiful signal. She's a threat on everything. She's a great actress, performer, businesswoman.
Right.
I've never been to Dolly World. You know, hopefully I get to go before it's my time, but it's Dolly Parton. Let her in. Well, once again, we're talking about genre. Does it belong in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? No. But it's Dolly Parton.
Now, during her performance, she did her track Jolene, where she was joined on stage by
let me guess, Miley came out.
No. Basically everybody that was there that night, like that was accepted in, like Pat Benatar and Annie Lennox, Pink was there, but the next artist that was the last artist I'm going to tell you that was inducted that night, the lead singer of this band joined her on stage as well, and many iconic pictures were taken of these two because it was you never thought you would see this. Judas Priest was also inducted, and Rob Halford was singing Jolene with Dolly Parton.
2 queens of rock and roll, man.
There you go.
It's Rob Halford, bro. First of all, Judas Priest should have been in a long time ago.
Absolutely.
You know, which gets me back to the same repetitive thing. I don't know why certain bands have to wait. I don't know who does this thing. I don't know who the judges are, but they need to be shaken up a little bit, you know. And of course, man, Rob Halford's the greatest metal singer who ever walked the earth. So because he's so melodic and also extremely powerful, why not have him sing with Dolly?
Yeah.
You know, it's the homogenizing of everything. You know, it's all music, but they're trying to say it's gotta to make it more rock and roll. Let's have Rob Halford join Dolly on stage and do that. You know, I think it's great. You know, I think it's great. I didn't get to see it, obviously, not because I'm a snob about it. I just didn't get to see it. But
the part that I thought sucked though, like it was great photo ops and to watch video of it, but like Pat Benatar and others got like a couple lines to sing. Rob didn't get no lines to sing. He was just part of the backing on the chorus.
So let's all just get up and jam like they do with some of these events.
Yeah,
It's great. Well, think about it, man. I mean, first of all, going back to Dolly, her story is amazing. You know, she grows up dirt poor in this fucking hillbilly thing, and she gets to meet some great people when she goes to Nashville. They understand her. What was the show that she was on? I saw the documentary on her. It was great. Who was it? Chet Atkins. Who the hell show was she on? Anyway, she goes on his show.
I don't know.
She goes on this variety show, right? And she becomes the bigger star. And he's trying to squash her to keep her under his umbrella, and she just wants to do her own thing. You know, Dolly wants to write her own songs, go out on her own, and she does. She puts together Jolene, and enough said.
Wow.
You know, but people tried to control her, manipulate her in the beginning of her career. Like, well, just stay with us. We're going to keep you here under our umbrella. It was a bit of a masculine thing, you know. The cool thing about country is the female artists are always really strong. There's like Loretta Lynn, Patsy Cline. Those stories are like women that get their up and comings, you know. So Dolly Parton deserves every bit of Dolly Parton deserves every bit of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame stage.
That's cool.
Even though she's not in a rock band, it's Dolly Parton. Let me retract that. There's some people that are take such a big space that it goes beyond rock and roll. You know, it goes beyond rock and roll. It's the artistry. It's the Hall of Fame of great artists. So,
agreed.
I can say some are not so great, you know, but Dolly Parton, sure, why not? Put Dolly Parton next to Jimi Hendrix.
Wow. Okay.
That would have been a cool little matchup, though. Jimmy Jam with Dolly. Oh, Dolly!
I'm sure Jimmy would have made that happen somehow, some way.
Dude, would have been amazing. And then later him and Dolly would have dropped a bunch of acid. Gone on like Jimmy Fallon or Colbert and be like,
oh God,
just all handsy on each other.
So all right, so going back to Judas Priest, who went into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, they were joined now for their induction ceremony and performance by their one of their old drummers, Les Binks, who played on 2 albums, and the one and only Mr. K.K. Downey.
Yeah, man.
First time in probably about 15 years he's played with them guys.
Yeah, he was super sick, right? Oh no, who was the one? Was KK the one who was getting all bitchy?
Well, Glenn Tipton has Parkinson's disease, and he's still playing.
Right. So KK was mad because Faulkner was in the band, whatever. Richie was doing his thing.
What happened was,
right?
If I'm not mistaken, I think they announced a farewell tour years ago, and they did that, and KK thought, oh, that's it. And then the guys were like, oh, no, we're going to keep going.
Oh.
And he thought it was like not cool. And then he got upset, and then Mud started slinging because he wanted to be back in, and he thought they were doing the wrong thing, and they replaced them. And it got ugly, and it's been ugly over the years. And I'll tell you what, I actually interviewed KK about 4 years ago, maybe 3, 4 years ago. Whenever his autobiography came out, I got the chance to interview him, and we talked for over an hour. And it was such an amazing conversation. But he's the first interview I've done, and I've probably done close to 1,000 interviews, that a person asked me to please go back and edit something out for me.
Oh, really?
And I did. Because he made a comment about Rob Halford, a gay comment.
Oh.
And it was kind of derogatory. And like when he said it, I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And, at the end, he was like, I got caught up. He's like, can you please go back and take that out for me? Because
You were like, no.
no,
Truth in journalism, bro. I don't do that for anybody.
Dude, I don't want to be the person to cause any rift between Rob Halford and KK Downey. That's all I want to say.
Well, all that jousting that was going on about, was a bit difficult to swallow, as a fan. You're like, it's one of my ultimate favorite bands, and to have that kind of sours it a little bit. I'm glad that they were able to. It's always cool when people put on their big boy pants and drop all the bullshit, and it's all about the music and the band and the fans, wanting to see them together. That's great, man. Because I saw them 3 years ago on that tour with Rich Young Guitar. I thought it was a great show, man. But as if, like we've talked about this always in the past, when that certain band member's missing, it's kind of like you're used to seeing him, and it gets a little weird. But then the guy looks like him, plays like him, so that must have been very weird for KK Down to have to go through that.
Exactly. And he said that numerous times in the press that they found a younger version of me. Right.
It's like when not the guitar player, but the guys in STP, they go get kind of like a carbon copy of Scott Weiland. It's trippy how bands do that. But Judas Priest, man,
that's a conversation I want to have with you on another episode.
Sure, man, sure. But Judas Priest, Rob Halford deserves everything he possibly gets accolades in the world of rock and roll. And let me just call it all rock and roll. To me, there's no hardcore. It either rocks or moves or it doesn't. It's either shit or it's not. Man, Priest. When I used to work in a record store when I was about 15,
really,
Colorado, when I lived there for a little bit, and one of the coolest things was when Unleashing the East was out. That great, awesome, most bestest ever live Judas Priest album, and a bunch of guys from the military came in, and they're like, "Yeah, man, love Priest, man, love Priest, love Priest." And little did they know that. It was
right.
It was Judas Priest.
Right. Now,
great singer, man. What greatest fucking metal singer? What are you gonna say?
So I named this episode "I'm Your Turbo Lover," which I'm like, as I did that, I'm like, you know what? All right, I'm gonna like start naming episodes with like stories and stuff, just to give little hints.
All
because
right,
there's a lot of Judas Priest conversation that I want to have with you tonight. So the first being continuing out of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And we have KK on stage with them now. We have Richie. We had Glenn Tipton up there. Why the hell would they not do exactly what like their best friends in the metal world, Iron Maiden, did? And welcome KK back in. Glenn has health problems with his Parkinson's. Why not have the three of them do a triple guitar attack for a tour?
I'm sure that's an awesome ultimate fantasy, to have. I'm sure maybe because of his health issues, it must be a big deal.
Yeah.
Parkinson's a motherfucker, man. It took my girl's dad.
Wow. Sorry.
I just know it. I don't, I'm not a medical professional, but I know how evil it is.
Yeah.
I mean that's a great. You got to do there's a lot of maintenance with something like that. Keeping those personalities together. I'm sure they would be like, "Hey, man, we're finally here. We're doing it together. God bless you, bro."
Right.
I would love to see that, but I don't think that's a reality. If Glenn Tipton's been ill That's day to day, man. Parkinson's is day to day. I would think it'd be great to get him on stage doing that. It'd be amazing, to see it solid like that. And Judas Priest always had the drummer. They're always changing drummers back in the day. That was like the Spinal Tap thing. Like the drummer was blowing up. They always had a different drummer. Man, I'm such a fan of that band. I'm gonna tell you real quick. I'll enjoy. Spread was playing back in the early '90s. We were touring. We played a place called in Arizona called the Mason Jar.
Okay.
Cool venue, and Rob Halpert just moved to Phoenix or something like that.
Right.
So
Okay.
we're playing, and we're about to do our set, and someone says, Rob's coming here with his friend. It's like, oh, I said, wow, okay. I'd met him once before, but he was about 7 feet in front of me, and I had to sing in front of Halford, and he was like, the whole time looking right at me, like this, and he wasn't looking me up, and he was just like really, and it was cool. So the coolest thing I ever got, well, there's him and then Dimebag Darrell, but Halford said to me, "You doing okay, son?" You know what I mean? Like,
Wow.
and then we thought we were gonna get to hang out. Actually, him and his bodyguard took off a little bit, and then they actually came and said, we gotta do some errands. We'll be back. Errands, what the fucking word, whatever they were doing. And then they came back and we hung out for a little bit and just rapped, and talked music. And then I got really drunk and I forgot everything. A few years later, Baz was doing a thing on MTV. I think it was Skid Row was playing on MTV or something, and they had Halford come up.
Okay.
That's when Halford was doing Fight, and I was invited to the set. And Baz walked by. This is Ray, and Rob's like, yeah, I know. I was like, that's cool. Rob Halford knew who I was for like 5 minutes,
That's
It
awesome.
was cool, man. But I got to see him up close, and that was great. To watch those two guys work together was a mind blower because they're two of the, like I said, they're two of the best. Baz is like a young Halford.
Yeah.
Baz has those kind of pipes, and I think he really looks up to Halford a lot. That's what I get. So, Priest, man, Judas Priest, bro, come on. We go down the list.
First concert.
What's that?
That was my first concert.
Judas Priest was your first. Wow, that's amazing.
1984 Defenders of the Faith tour. Great White opened. I had no idea who Great White was. They were on their first tour, their debut album, and yeah.
I didn't pay any attention to Great White till they blew up that building or whatever.
Oh.
I wasn't. I'm just not like. They didn't do it for me,
I'll tell you what. That like I didn't know who they were, and it was my very first live band experience was seeing Great White baby band. Like nobody knew who they were, and I was like, all right. Then Judas Priest came out and just freaking blew me away and changed my life.
Bet, yeah.
But years later, I ended up seeing Great White probably 3 or 4 more times over the years on like triple bills, and every time they fucking blew me away. I couldn't believe how fucking good they were.
And was Russell singing? Jack Russell was he singing?
Yes.
See, here's the thing, because I only heard about them like through news events and stuff. So I went back into the catalog, and I discovered what a great singer he was.
Amazing.
What's this? The ballad, save all your love.
Save all your love for me. Yeah.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
Some people just get to record some tunes. It's a moment in time. Whatever your day's been, you got to go in the studio and focus. Those are little performances. That performance on that day, whether they pieced it together, however that song was put together, that vocal is beautiful from top to bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Great singer. What a great voice, man. I had no idea. So, like I said, I wasn't really a fan. And then as the years go by, you wake up, I came out of my bubble. I was like, oh my God, who's Great White?
Right.
And who's this band Slaughter? I went down the whole list. I was like, wow, these guys are amazing. Yeah.
Interesting.
Maybe one day Great White will be in the Hall of Fame. I don't know.
Hey, you never know. I doubt it though.
But they're big. They're big. The big hit for them was the Slade song.
Yeah, or was it Once Bitten, Twice Shy?
Yeah, and then another Slade song at the time, Quite Right used too. The Mama,
we're all crazy now.
Yeah, that's it. It's amazing how one band can affect a genre in a time of rock, man. It's like, let's go pick these guys, this band's songs and use these songs. But getting back to Priest, man. Priest did a cover of Diamonds and Rust.
Yeah.
You know, that I didn't know that was a cover till years later too. I was like, oh my god, you know, that's a
Yeah.
great song, man.
Now, another interesting. This was the last topic of Judas Priest I want to discuss with you. Which this story, you know, there was like stories coming out all week during the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and Rob Halford discussed this in an interview, and supposedly it alluded to this a discussion that was he talked about in his autobiography, which I've never read, but a very very interesting topic is, you know, the fact that Rob Halford was a gay man in the world of heavy metal, one of the biggest bands of the
Sure.
80s, and he said, you know, how hard it was for him to be in the closet and constantly turning girls and like running away from girls, kind of like coming up with all these excuses
Right.
because see, he just had no interest.
Rock and roll has always been feminine and masculine, feminine energy. You know,
Yes.
so to be a gay man, I think for him being a gay man doing heavy metal, which is a very aggressive, you know, almost masculine, because you know a lot
Mhm.
of the times back in the day in metal shows just had guys in the audience.
Yes.
You know, and you know maybe in it there's a very primal. Metal is very primal, and it has a very sort of like sexual energy to it. You know,
Hmm.
because it's really it makes you know, and it can drive people to dance on the floor crazy, to mosh and bash heads, or it can, you know, have sex with each other. I don't know, but
On the
I
floor
think
in
that
the
had to
show.
be, yeah, I think that had to be a very difficult thing for him, man, going through that and almost like putting on a, you know, a false front,
Yeah.
you know, but when you listen to Priest music, all the hints are there,
Mm.
you know, leather,
Yeah.
leather, everything, you know. Give me the give me song titles. Turbo Lover, okay. You know, it's all hidden when you start to look for the lyrics and stuff. You'll
Yeah.
there's a little hint on it, but what a great front. But when you see how it's like the Freddie Mercury thing.
Hmm.
Rob Halford didn't carry himself like a, you know, there's a lot of like fluidness and nuance to his.
Right.
You know, it's like not that he's a Liberace or anything, but he has a very, you know, there's some things you'll notice in Rob Halford, the way he performs and the way he carries himself. You know, it's
Yeah.
very flamboyantness, but it's hidden behind
Hmm.
the veil of heavy metal. You know what I mean? And I think that had to be really difficult being, you know, his sexual persuasion in that kind of atmosphere with, you know, you got everybody thinks you're this great metal, masculine metal god, but
Yeah.
you're a gay man singing heavy metal rock and roll, you know. I
And
can even imagine what he had to go through.
another interesting thing he said was it was really kind of like mind blowing to him because, you know, in the early '80s, there's more metal, you know, and then that mid '80s when the whole LA Sunset Strip explosion was happening and your Poisons and stuff like that was coming out. He's like,
Right.
you know, I'm looking at bands like Poison and Cinderella and they're all glam to the max and they're looking like girls, and I'm thinking to myself, I can't do that. I want to do that, but I can't do that.
Just takes a can of Aquanet and some tight pants, brother.
Right?
But you know, really think about it, man. The amount of touring they had to do, right? Night after night of performances. You got guys coming at you. You got, I'm sure, yeah, the girls coming at you, and he had to make up. I imagine he had to make up a million excuses to deal with it.
Yeah.
You know, Rob's sick right now, or he's busy, he's sleeping, and
Right.
at some point, I don't know, I don't remember when he came out, but I could just imagine the relief, you know, of
Yeah.
not being your true self. Because and here's the thing, man. I can always separate the music or the artist from the personal life.
Right.
Like it didn't. I was like, okay, so he's gay, big deal. You
Yeah.
know, you kind of knew towards the end, as before he came out, they start to open up more and present themselves more. I used to,
Yeah.
when I was living in Fort Lauderdale back in the day, in the early, late '80s, there's this club called the Treehouse Lounge. It was open until about
Okay.
6 a.m. And I remember Rob Halford would go there and hang out. Well, there was touring. A lot of bands were recording down here in Criteria Studios. Everybody was recording down here.
Okay.
Remember Nico from Iron Maiden was in there a lot.
Uh-huh.
But you would see Rob Halford, and people would say, Rob took another guy out to his car. I'm like, oh wow. So he would come there, and they said he was picking up. I never witnessed him picking up a guy,
Right.
but a friend of mine that a guy I was in band with, I did witness Halford kneeling on him a little bit, wanting his attention.
Wow.
And it was like, wow, people, it was common knowledge then.
Yeah.
So it was already common knowledge in the club scene down here, like, oh, Rob's picking up guys here, and then you hear about it on the news, like the news media, the MTV media when he comes out.
Right.
So it's rock and roll, man. Rock and roll is the home of freaks, and rock and roll is the home of like the people that are just outside the lines, outside the box. Rock and roll's for the misfits. And, that you have to be gay to be misfit, but everybody is welcome in the crazy box.
There you
You
go.
know what I mean? Music should be. We appreciate Rob Halford for the fact that he's a great heavy metal singer. He's a great human. He's a cool guy to talk to. He's very intelligent,
Mhm.
and that should be it. Not like his sexual side, but
Yeah.
because it's Rob Halford, because it's media, and we have to know these things. But it is trippy that a homosexual man, would be in a heavy metal band like that. Now imagine how many other guys are homosexual fronting
Mhm.
heavy metal bands, and not saying it.
Right.
I have a friend of mine too. He's in a band called Gay CDC. You ever heard of them?
I have, yes.
It's fabulous, man. It's fabulous. I think it's great. Be yourself, man. Let your freak flag fly, my friend.
There
God
you
bless
go.
you, Rob Halford.
There you go. Okay, so we did a story a couple episodes ago where I brought up the whole big thing about the band falling in reverse and their laptops and backing tracks and they
Right.
couldn't perform and all that. So check this story out. Last week, Striper was set to perform at the Whiskey A Go Go out in Sunset Strip in LA.
Oh yeah, I know it.
And 30 minutes before they were set to go live, boom, the whiskey loses power.
Okay.
What do you think Striper did?
I'm gonna say they either canceled or did an acoustic set.
Almost. They somehow got 2 battery powered amps.
Oh, wait a minute. I heard about this. Go ahead. They play on some like little speakers or something.
They played on 2 little battery powered speaker amps,
God bless them, man.
Robert Sweet and just his snare, and they played their set like that, and it was fucking amazing.
That's I've been in situations where you had to sort of like improvise, make it. That always creates some really cool shit.
Yeah,
Because it's really, you're really humbled by the whole thing, and it's about as raw as you can get.
yeah,
So when when your back's against the wall and you're naked, you got to be like, yo, you got to perform. You know what I mean? So I heard I got a hint of it in an article I read, but I didn't really go further than that. I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
Back in the day, Ricky, who's in Spread, we used to have a band called GOP, and
Okay.
we once wound up going to a bar called 3B, about 12:30 at night. And we were we had a gig somewhere else canceled. We drove back to the city all pissed off. We drove by this club to have beers, and they were like, "Hey man, if you want to get up and jam, you can." We took everything, all the gear, got in this little corner room. It had to be like, the room was like small, tiny stage. We set up Rick's kit, and we all played on the floor, and we had a great set. The moments like that will always make you.
That's awesome.
But for Striper to pull that off is a big deal because it's Striper.
Yeah. They played in the dark, and the crowd hung tight and singing along with them, and it was amazing.
I got to give it to the way fans of the band, and the way they just hang in there,
Yeah.
and you want to do. I'm sure they wanted to do right by the fans, so why cancel? You know, you make the most of it, sure. If not, you do an acoustic set, you go outside on the sidewalk and you finish the show for everybody.
Right.
That's
Right.
great. I didn't know that, the details of that.
Yeah, that I thought I was just I saw that and there was like all types of video footage of it and I was just like, this is amazing. Like here we have a band a few weeks ago that can't play because they don't have their laptops, and now this band's playing with no freaking power.
I'd say those situations come up all the time for bands, and I feel bad for the guys that can't do the gig because their tracks don't work.
Right.
You know, I was in a situation in 2019. I'll leave the names out, but there was a band, and they didn't want to play because they didn't have their tracks, and it was more like the singer was saying. I heard this conversation. The singer was saying, "Let's go up and muscle through the set, you know, and show these guys what we're made of." And the band was like saying to the singer was recommending for the band to go on stage without the tracks, and the guitar player says, "Are you sure, man? I mean, you know, the tracks are for you. Are you sure?" And it's like the band was like scared to play without him. The singer was saying, "Let's go do it. I can do this." And the band was afraid to do it. You know, it's funny. Nobody wants to look bad. I told you, it's an insecurity. Tracks are great. It's art if it's done well. But if you can't play without them, that's insecurity. You're afraid of looking stupid. Maybe you really can't play.
Well,
maybe you really can't sing.
The person who's definitely using tracks now, and I get it, Ozzy.
Sure, man. Look, it's Ozzy. Let him do whatever the fuck he wants. That's
at
Ozzy.
this point. Yeah, I'm like that's the first person I'm like going to say like I'm honestly cool with it.
Yeah, as long as Ozzy's still going out there and throwing out the signal for real, I'm cool.
Yeah.
Because even if he's throwing out a signal and it's put through an auto tuner, and I don't give a shit. But as long as he's there performing, he's the one doing it. It's Ozzy, man. We need Ozzy around for as long as we can have Ozzy. Ozzy's bigger than Ozzy. You know what I'm saying? It's like, let him do whatever he wants, man. That's where it doesn't matter.
I can honestly say I think, God forbid, the day goes when it's his time, I'm going to be fucking devastated.
It's gonna be a sad day. It's gonna be hard for a lot of people because it's part of our DNA. He's what we grew up on. You know, yeah, man.
Yeah.
Like I said, I was a kid that gravitated more towards. I love Zeppelin, but I gravitated more towards Ozzy, you know, and Sabbath because I don't know, maybe it's shit I was going through, but you know, Ozzy's very special to me.
Absolutely. So we had a one of our viewers sent in a question, sent me a message the other day, and it's a very interesting topic, and I loved it. And let me pull it up real quick. And it's Tony, so let's give Tony a little hello, a shout out. I know she's watching now. But so her question is, one of her all-time favorite bands that she feels is grossly underrated, and I absolutely agree, and I'm sure you will too, is King's X.
Oh wow, Doug! What a great voice, man! And they are. It's true, they are, man. They actually in the MTV days they had it going on for a little while.
Yeah.
You know, they had it going on, so they had their day. It's not that they're underrated, you know. But why aren't they doing bigger tours, things like that? Yeah, man. You know, if
well,
you get your
that's kind of her question right there. Why is a band like King's X and she also threw out there Spread Eagle, like why have bands like that over time fallen through the cracks?
I think, you know, the evolution of like with Spread. I'll go. I can attest to Spread. To Spread, we simply walked away from the business, right? So when you walk away from the business and you go unheard, unseen, right? You're gonna fall to the wayside a little bit. You got to be active. You got to be active. Maybe I don't know what King's X went through. It could be lots of reasons. You know, we live in a world where people are race. For some people is they have a hard time with it. You know, there could be a million one reasons why that band isn't bigger, but you know that band was so huge, man.
Yeah.
In the 80s, in the early 90s, whatever. I don't understand if they're still touring. right?
Yeah.
So their fan base
Mhm.
always stayed with them. But as far as the marketability of the band, or maybe it's because they didn't have when MTV is not around, all that's played is those songs on the MTV-ish radio stations everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know why a band like that isn't, you know, in my world, they're a very big band because I still
Mhm.
pay homage to King's X and I listen to it quite often because that's in my playlist, you know.
Right.
So to me, it's a good question, but it's like anybody else. If you're not active, not out there with the big hits, making money, you know, if you're not,
What do you know? What label they were on?
I don't know. We should look it up. Maybe
Let
it's
me look that up
Columbia.
real quick
Could they be a Columbia band or something?
because I think
But they're a great band, man. They're still great. They still put out music that's fucking awesome.
yeah.
You know, so I don't understand it. I think that the music business, like I say, was fickle. There are lots of bands, you know, but King's that's if they stay active and they go out, their fans are still there. They're just
Yeah,
not
because
and just not headlining Madison Square Garden. You know,
so they were a bunch of labels. Let me see. They were on Atlantic Records.
okay, big label, man. One of the big four. So
Yeah.
you've got. I'm not an
But
expert on this
but
shit.
at a bad time. They
Yeah,
were on Atlantic Records
it's timing. The business
'92.
the business did this thing where music changed. You know,
Right.
things changed. So a lot of those bands just kind of like went underground for a little bit and then slowly came up when people started appreciating the music. You know, remember they were doing club tours or theater tours for a long time,
Right.
and I imagine they still get good rooms. But as we said before, the business has changed. You know, as long as if the kids discover King's X, then they'll come around again. But
Mm.
they still got us, our fans that go see King's X, and whatever they play, we try to go. We're all just trying to do the best we can and play. We're trying to go where the budget lets us go.
Mm.
You try to go where the budget lets you go. You try to go where the demand is. You don't want to play nowhere where no one doesn't really give a shit about you. So
Right.
you got to mine that data first. You know, who's listening to our music and where.
Hmm.
You know, and it's all about budgeting. If King's X has the money to you know, produce a huge album and a huge hit, then I'm sure they'll do it. But they don't need to do that. They already had they had a huge heyday. You
Yeah.
know, so they're still King's X to me, you know, but
Hmm.
I don't know. They don't. You can't put King's X in with Godsmack and a Corn show. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Even though they play heavy as fuck. I mean, they tune down there, and Doug is just an amazing singer, very soulful singer, very, and they're like Crosby, Stills, and Nash of rock and roll because
Mm.
of the way those three guys harmonize. You know, they sound beautiful, man.
I
But if
did
you're
not know that Doug was gay as well. I just found that out recently. I was like, wow. Okay.
yeah, listen, I got to tell you something about me. I got to tell my girlfriend. Oh man, look, there's so many reasons. There's so many threads as to why a band is current or relevant or people don't listen to them, you
Hmm.
know. But if you get the influx of cash, you go out and make your presence felt. If you don't have the cash, you don't do it. That's all there is to it. It's a harsh reality for everyone. You know, you go to
Sure.
M3, and some bands are touring around the country for the
Hmm.
past 30 years, and some bands were touring back in the day, but they spend months getting ready for M3.
Yeah.
You know, but it's that circuit of bands it's constant. That's why M3 always has the same fucking bands every year. You know,
I think
it's
we need to see Spread Eagle on M3.
Spread is the only band I know of that has not played M3. You'll have a better chance of the kids band in the garage down the street playing M3. Apparently, there has to be a demand. You know, we have to. We've made our presence known. We've been on. I hear that we're on the wish list. Um,
Okay.
just give us like fucking 40 minutes and let us go. I don't know how long the sets are. We'll play early. I don't give a shit. But
Right.
we are trying to be active, especially for the rest of this year. We're trying to be active now. The end of November and December is going to kick off for us. We got shows. So once that momentum builds and word of mouth goes, and everybody sees the videos and sees that I don't suck, they'll be like, "Oh, let's go see this band." It's like, they're still got something. It's about what can we offer. Why should Spread Eagle play M3? Why? You know what I mean? It's because they're a good fucking band.
Do you think now that you said that, do you think, and I'm asking this is between me and you now personally and our collective of viewers.
Sure.
Do you think that the situation that happened with you and George Lynch earlier this year, in your head, just you now, do you think that is a factor that you need to prove now to yourself? Not prove to yourself, but prove to others that you fucking got it?
Oh yeah, it was a wake up call. Because I was like, I know what I used to sound like. I know what I've become and what I've evolved into. So for me, I'm always got to be on point. Because the problem is, because of videos and the way Blabbermouth works and all that,
Yeah.
So for me, I'm like, I need people to see that Spread is for real.
Yeah.
That it's not just we're not a cock rock band. We don't play 3-bar blues. It's a very musical band, very strong band. Everybody sings, and to me, it's about performance more than hitting every fucking note.
Right.
It's about how you can make people feel. So a big part of it for me, it has always, look, I've always had a chip on my shoulder. Always. I've always thought I wasn't the bee's knees. I always said I was unique and lucky. And if I don't do what I do as religiously every day, I do fall to the wayside. I can be really lazy. So it was a wake up call to me to be like, oh wow, I really got to be on point now. Like now there's people taking videos of me, and now I've become a curiosity.
Right.
Oh, let's go see the band. Let's go see what Ray's really like. So come see for yourself, and come witness the thing that is Spread Eagle. Great, And the people that are close to me and know me and know what I'm capable of never have a problem. They're like, dude, you just had, you had a misstep. We all understand, you weren't ready. And I'll say it straight up because this is me and you. I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready mentally. I was coming off a crisis of confidence for almost a year. I didn't sing. I came out of a really bad band situation, one of my side bands, really bad situation, got really ugly. And I didn't want to sing anymore. All of a sudden I get this, you get this call, and I'm like, I prepared, but I didn't prepare the way I do to sing Spread stuff.
Yeah.
And that bit me in the ass. So the lesson learned is you really have to want to do it. I think if I really in my heart wanted to be in that band and work with that guy, I would have really made it work and tried harder to not embarrass myself or embarrass him.
Yeah.
So it's like if you don't prepare, man, and for me it's like I got to sing every day. I got to warm up 20 minutes a day. I got to run this set for an hour, and if I don't do that, I'll fall to the wayside and I'll suck. But it's also about energy. Then I got to be mentally in the game. I got to be focused. Because Spread Eagle vocals that I did back in the day take a lot of work. It's very physical.
Oh, I can imagine.
And it's and
right.
And because of that, I'm older. I'm tune down, goddammit. Tune down.
Do you say to yourself now, what the fuck was I thinking?
Oh, dude, you kidding me? I'm like, did I have fucking wire tied around my balls to do that stuff? Because I was in that day, I was like, I was an Axl fan and AC/DC fan at the same time. So I was like trying to really go for the bar all the time. And here's my thing with vocals. I think it's always best to go as far as you can with something and go beyond the limit, and then you know where to bring it back, right? So we did these really cool high energy vocals on the first Spread record, and then I was like, wow, that's a lot. Let me just dial it back a little bit. Little did I know, dialing back a little bit, that people that wanted me dialed up to 110 wanted on 110. But when I go and do when I did my solo shit, it was too. It fit me like a glove because that music was tailored for me.
Right.
In Spread, we were a collaboration of different energies coming around. I'm not just writing vocals. I'm also having other people write melodies for me too, and I want to master that. If I can connect with someone else's melody and a lyric they feed me and it really becomes part of me, I can connect. But back to the thing, to be honest with you, man, it's just my crisis of confidence and my ask just came together at this weird time, and I was humbled by the whole thing. I just did not prepare the way I should. And when you prepare, there's like when I'm rehearsing spread music, which I wasn't at the time, there's a switch that happens vocally. We have a speaking voice, and then you got the voice that's up here a little bit.
Right.
You control that. You control the energy from that. When you don't have the switch, because I'm not a cover singer, I don't sing anybody else's shit but mine. And when I do sing someone else's stuff, I redo it. I like redos. I don't like covers. I like redos.
Yeah.
And so I learned, man. I learned that I shouldn't have gone. I shouldn't have said yes. I should have waited. I had actually had opportunity to wait till September to do that gig. And I was like, oh, I told you, I need the money. Let me jump in now. So that was my mentality. I just want to do for the money. And I thought I could get away with it. And I did. Lesson learned. I'm still me. I'm still Ray West. My identity is Spread Eagle. That's what I do. And to do that, people bitch about that too when they come to the shows, people that don't know me. If I don't hit those fucking notes from back in the day, they get all fucking pissy. They're not into like, well, let's just go and see the band live and feel the vibe. I got to hit certain points or it's a bad day.
Yo, all they're gonna need to do is go on YouTube and see, type in Guns N' Roses, and you tell me what Axl Rose is doing today, and it's nothing like he was doing in 1989. Right.
But that's also like people that know you. If you know a band, you're gonna understand what's going on. You're gonna evolve with the band. People that don't know the band or know it from afar, but haven't even heard the fucking music. It's like we live at a time where you can say shit about me or you, and you're behind your screen. It's almost like you can. We live in a time where we just this horrible banter of like hateful spewing shit.
Yeah.
And there's nothing anybody can do to you. I can't reach through the fucking thing and wring your fucking neck. It's like you got to take it. It is what it's all. You got to be a man. Here's my thing, and I'll shut up. I was asked to do a gig. It was all for good hearts. I came to the gig unprepared. Didn't happen. And I had to pay the way I paid the price for it was I wasn't allowed back to the party. Right. So now if I can't go to a party and sing someone else's shit, I will sing my own shit to the best of my ability. And that's how it works. I'm just Ray. I'm Ray. I'm always going to be Ray. I can't change that. I had a bad day. Sue me.
Because we just hit the hour mark, so
yeah, okay.
I want to throw two quick news. Well, one last quick news story, and one thing I came across. I forget how I even came across it, but I've had it saved. But the quality is not good, so I'm not going to play it. But Spread Eagle's appearance on Headbangers Ball in the Day. Any recollection of that? Any memories of that?
Yeah, I remember that we were like, Paul and I went to the studio. We were like we're going to MTV Studios, man. How fucking cool is that? We're going to go sit on the couch at Ricky. We get to the place, and our friends Warrior Soul are on before us. So I saw Johnny and Corey, and we were just having a goof and a laugh back there. They gave us some drinks, and all I remember was being so juiced to go on. Like I got butterflies. I was like, because you don't think about it. You're like, oh man, it's MTV. And then you see the cameras like, uh-oh, people are going to watch this. And then you see like, oh, I'm talking actually, I'm on MTV. This is actually happening. I'm sitting on the couch. I'm in front of people. This is weird. And I remember that I just felt natural. I felt very cocky. My manner when I watch it, I see a lot of it. I was like, yeah, I see a lot of that shit. And that's just me fronting,
Yeah.
But I remember that I enjoyed it. But Ricky had a whole list of questions regarding the name Bruce Dickinson, but he didn't realize that Bruce Dickinson was also the name of our A&R guy. So there's Iron Maiden Bruce, and there's MCA Bruce Dickinson.
Oh.
So he had a good like 20 minutes worth of stuff, and he's like, oh, I'm like, well, our Bruce isn't that Bruce, and we're just like, oh, You know, like he lesson
Oh,
learned on
that's
his part too.
hysterical.
Yeah, and then also we had already debuted Scratch Like a Cat on MTV Headbangers Ball, so we had just
Right.
put all this investment of time into the Switchblade Serenade video.
Okay.
So when he goes to introduce that video, it's Scratch Like a Cat. So it right away, it shows you the world we lived in. We were in the upside down. Like things just were not landing
Right.
the way they should. But we had a great time, and because of that, I became good friends with Ricky. We hung out back in the day, and we went to California. It was great.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was fun, man. And you know what? I like all that shit. I like the stuff that's extra. I love playing shows. I love all that, but I like the extra. I like if you go on a cool show, you know, and you get to rap with whoever, you get to mingle with people, you get to go in the room. We were in the party for a while. It was cool, but things change.
Well, the whole era changed, so
Yeah,
the
man.
party changed.
I mean, because of that, we get to talk about it. You know, it's just we grew up rock and roll. I grew up rock and roll. I grew up watching Midnight Special like everybody else.
Yep.
But I didn't want to just watch it. I wanted to be in it. You know, little Latin kid from living in Florida. What do you want to do? Play rock and roll? You know what I mean? And that was what I want. All I wanted to do, man. And then you go as far as to actually spend your whole life going towards the light, and then when you
Right.
get to the light, and you just want to shut it off. Very strange. Very strange. And now all I want to do is
Turn that light on.
yeah, man. I know what I was capable of. And like I told you, what my own manager said to me, he sounds like, you had the brass ring, Ray, and you gave it away. That's how he sounds too. But I know who I am. I know what I'm capable of. So the band still lets me sing for them. If I was really terrible, you think Rob DeLuca would let me sing for him? You know what I mean?
No,
Like, the guy plays
not
with
at all.
Baz. He plays with Phil. It's like I'm
Yeah.
lucky as fuck. I'm lucky as fuck, man. I'm grateful that Rob and I just, after so many years, we're still click, and he's become a rock and roll gentleman, and that's the way he should be, man. So I'm in good company.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and just with you, man, same thing. Like I'm in good company here. Like our conversations, I love our conversations, and we'll have a million more. I hope.
Well, no, we are.
You know,
Fuck yeah, we are.
because our opinions matter, right? There's a whole fucking world out there going crazy, and our opinions matter. I need to be heard. You need to be heard.
We need to know who the
Yeah,
fuck
man.
is Ray West.
Hey, man. And say what you will, but Bebe's a bad motherfucker.
There you go. So, all right. So, last news story. We're gonna close off. Let me pop.
What do you got?
We got Dennis's our boy Dennis. He says, "Hey fellas, salute us, Ray. How's the new Spread Eagle record coming along? Seeing 1 month at Dingbats."
Loved it, man. Dingbats is like my second, one of my homes. Every club is like a home at some point. But Dingbats is, I used to hang out there quite a bit because I was staying in Maywood, Jersey for a while. Somewhere like in mid 2000s. Anyway, I had a great time. But my home base of operations was Dingbats. And the owner, Freddie, treated me like gold, man. He's like my bro. So I love that place. And Spread is working on songs feverishly, and demos are coming in now. So now we're getting an idea of what we like.
Ooh, I'm excited.
So
I'm
it's
excited.
coming. It's coming. I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
And Tony, who gave us our question to, she commented earlier when we were talking about Duran. She said, "Save a Prayer" is a Duran song we were trying to.
And I love do 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 do. It's got some great vocal ad-libs in that song, man. When you listen to the recording of it, it's just the way the vocals are taken care of. I listen to some people listen whatever first because I sing. I know the process, and I know that the amount of work it takes just to get the word "the" right. You know what I mean? And it's beautiful recordings, man. There's so much good stuff, and we get into it's like Aaron Neville. You know, what I hear today. When you use me up, dun, 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 dun. You like that stuff, the Neville Brothers? Ain't no sunshine when she's
gone.
Dude, man, you hear the beauty in those things. Some recordings
Yeah.
don't need much. Some voices don't need much, and some voices in the now take up a lot of space. It's funny. The vocals now are different because everything's put through auto tuning. Has to be pitch perfect because that's what people are used to now. So you really
Right.
the rare raw recording is difficult to find. Someone who does it well. But
Another Duran Duran song that I was trying to think of earlier just popped in my head when they did that comeback, come undone.
oh yeah, okay, yeah, man. So,
Yeah,
see what I'm saying? It's like bands like
sounds
that.
like they're underwater.
Yeah, and bands
Yeah,
like that just get. It's like wine,
yeah.
right? Some
Hmm.
things just get better with age, And I'll
Cheers.
stop exactly. Bless you. And I'm the same way. I did something at a very very high energy point in my life, and then I said to myself, I'm going to take that signal and really really polish it.
Mm.
And so that's where I'm at now with my life. And now when I have to sing the older stuff, I just make sure that I'm honoring it as best as I can. You know, that it was a lot about attitude, the early Spread Eagle stuff. So for me,
Mhm.
I honor the vocals. I am not a pitch perfect guy, obviously. So I'm more from the school of like, be in the moment, you know, just be in the moment and really pay honor to the work you've done. So that's what it's about for me. I
Nice.
can't mimic my past. I can't. I could just be. I can do the best I can right now with what I have. So I don't want to fool anybody. The people that come see us, they know it's going to be an honest, humble, sincere rock band they come and see, and that's the beauty of it.
You can't tell or show me somebody who did something 30 years ago and can still do it as perfect as they did it 30 years ago.
The only one that I can put to that, but he's smart, was Dan McCafferty. We just lost Dan McCafferty from
Mhm.
Nazareth, which really hurt me because that song "Love Hurts" is like I should have a tattoo of how much I love that song. It's
Great
one of
song.
the greatest rock love songs ever written.
Hmm.
When I was a kid, the song made me fucking weep, man. And when I hear it in the car now that he's gone, it makes me. I feel so much. That's a problem with me. I'm overly sensitive with this shit.
Dude, so am I. I'm writing it down now. That's a topic I want to discuss with you.
You know,
Songs that make you cry.
sure, man. They're out there, and for whatever reason, you listen to like, "Alone Again." No, no, no. The Eric Carmen song.
Oh,
All by
he what's
myself.
dude, when I was a little kid, when that song came out, I was like 7, 8 years old. I used to sit on my bed and listen to that and cry
Yeah,
because I
man.
felt so alone.
I'm not in love. The other one. Hey, boys, don't cry.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? It's great stuff, bro.
it is.
We're gonna. The good thing about you, we got some miles under us, so we can reach back to all this fucking thing. We because the friends that hang out with us understand us.
Totally.
So we're all going through the same musical experience. We're all getting older, and we're thinking back, but I'm still present, man. I still feel the same.
Hmm.
Then I'll shut up. I still feel the same, but I know that I'm older, and your body changes, so you do more with less,
Boom.
right? Why be all frantic? I can get the same point across without being a fucking spaz, and I just hit you right here. I'll look you right dead in the face, and I'll fucking sing my ass off. You know what I mean?
There you go. And the last final news story I have for you tonight is it was just announced yesterday. Um, an iconic band announced their farewell tour for 2023. And I was actually kind of surprised at this, but Foreigner will be saying goodbye after 2023.
It's just a foreigner without Lou Graham.
Correct.
They already said goodbye. Next.
Wow. Woo.
No, I'm just fucking around. I'm trying to be cool. Kelly sings his ass off.
He
I
does.
celebrate foreigner music. I do that by simply putting on a CD, and that's how I celebrate. I can't go see Foreigner without Lou Graham. It's just weird to me. We've already had this conversation. I have a hard. If I've seen something in its prime,
Right.
why am I going to go see a B version of it?
No, I feel you there. I'm the
I'm
same way.
just
I
saying.
couldn't do it.
And
Like I love what they're doing though.
yeah,
But
bring the comments, man. I just think they should. I just think what they should call it something else. You know what I mean? Just call it something else. I'm not, who the fuck am I to say that? Whatever. Just call it something else. It's not Foreigner. It's Foreigner music. It's a tribute band. God bless him.
Cha-ching. That's it. All right. Well, Ray, we did it again. We had another great show, another fun time. Spread Eagle has a bunch of shows coming up. Make sure everybody goes, checks them out. There's I think I want to say the website is spreadeagle.us.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure that's the website.
Spread Eagle NYC.
Spread Eagle NYC.
But you know, once you, the best thing is go to Insta and you put in Spread Eagle, we pop right up. Which obviously Insta is Facebook. Facebook is Meta. Meta is pizza.
Yeah. Right.
We got shows coming up, and it's well. Here's the trip, and then I'll shut up. I have all this downtime, and it's like when you getting on a bike, or just the act of walking fast. I like to walk slow and lazy and pimp walk. Now Spread has shows, so now I gotta run. You know what I mean? You start you gotta wake up. It changes the way your day rolls because there's an intensity to it. Like I love my life. I get up, I go for my run, whatever, and I get good energy. But but really, if you're not rocking, there's a sort of like this kind of thing to my life right now. You know what I mean? It's really lazy and kick back. When you start doing shows, anybody in band will tell you, you kick in the high gear. You're worrying about how do I look today? Do I look like I can perform? You know,
right?
I'm at the age now where whatever leaves the house, it what goes on stage. You know what I mean? I'm not sitting in the mirror anymore for 100 hours. You know, I'm not picking out what pair of pants I'm going to wear. It's whatever I'm wearing that day. I'm not cool enough for shorts and flip flops yet, but I'm going to get there. I'm not that cool. You need to be an icon for that shit.
Hey, if more people, a lot more people start subscribing to our channel, you'll become an icon and you'll wear flip flops and sandals.
That's right.
And,
so subscribe, hit the button. We're here for you. We're going to be back every week. Sorry about last week. I fucked up. And even though I'm gigging next week, we'll still be here.
There you go. All right, everybody. See you next week. More stories, more talk, more conversation, more rock and fucking roll with this guy.
And
Who
Bay.
the fuck is?
Sorry. We should have heard that. Bay.
Right. It's like it's like
Good night, y'all.
E.T. phone home. Ouch.
I'll see you guys later. Later, my brother. Bye,
Later,
guys.
bro.